We are now just one day from what could be one of the closest presidential elections in history, and we will see whether all those trips to the key battleground states paid off. Let's find out where the Electoral College map stands right now. Joining me, as always, Karl Rove, former Bush senior advisor, and Democratic strategist Joe Trippi. Okay, here's the latest map. You can see from the info on the key, red is Romney, blue Obama. Then the pinkish states, those are lean Romney, light blue, lean Obama, and the yellow states, those are toss-up states within the margin of error. These are all based on polls from the last 2 weeks. We're going to start on what changed and this map, and then we're going to get to your final maps. Okay, let's start here, Karl.
First of all, a record 96 state-level polls last week in 31 states. 10 states showed movement towards Romney, 13 states showed movement towards Obama, but only one change in status. Wisconsin, by less than a point, flips from 3 points for Obama to 4 points for Obama, which moves it from toss-up to lean Obama. But it shows how tight this thing is and how little movement there really is at the end, that by flipping it from less than 3.5 to over 3.5, it changes status. The only one, smallest number of changes of status that we've had since April.
Significant, though, in Wisconsin?
Not much. I mean, at one point it could be noise, but I mean, what it says to me is that Sandy really did freeze the race. I mean, it really did take the focus off. You have the record number of polls, but nothing really changes. And a one-point move in Wisconsin, although I'm sure as a Democrat and the Obama people are happy to have it go that way, at one point it doesn't mean anything.
This leaves President Obama with 184 votes plus 4 states that lean his direction for a total of 231. It leads Mitt Romney with 180 in his column and 2 states that lean his direction for a total of 206.
What people are watching these polls just ever so slightly change day to day. Some of them, they go up 6-7 points depending on the state.
Right.
They look at these polls and say, I just don't get it.
Well, and look, there's a great deal of skepticism with which we ought to look at these state-level polls. The national polls tend to be run by larger, reputable groups. These state-level polls, sometimes you got some fly-by-night operators, and sometimes you got some people like the Des Moines Register poll that they really understand the state intimately and do a good job. But, you know, that's why we average these all together. And look, we have 8 states with 101 electoral college votes where it's too close to call. And in reality, we got 6 other states that could easily show up in somebody else's column tonight.
But this is the most polling, arguably, we've seen in a presidential election. Is it right?
Yeah. Look, no question. In fact, it isn't even close. Just simply in the last week, we've got twice as many national polls as we had 8 years ago. Last time I looked at this, we were running, depending on the week, 3 or 4 times as many state-level polls as we did 8 years ago.
The other thing is, look, there's a thing called margin of error. If a poll shows Obama at 50, he could be at 53 with a 3-point margin of error. He could be at 47. So when you have a poll, it's both numbers. It's his number and Romney's number can be off by 3 points each. So it's actually can be 6 points apart.
And it could be even bigger because, as we know, like the NBC Wall Street Journal poll in Ohio had a 9-point advantage in Democrats in the poll. That's bigger than it was in 08, and I've yet to find anybody who thinks that that 12 is going to be a more Democratic year than 08.
Bottom line, for Romney to win Tuesday, these polls have to be wrong.
Some polls have to be wrong a little, because the race is that close. Remember, take a look at the national polls. Just simply in the last week, 23 polls, you average them all together, 48.3 for Romney, 48.1 for Obama. That's as of
throw a margin of
10
error
o'clock 10 o'clock this morning. So it is dead even, knife's edge, long night, exciting outcome.
Okay, we said we wanted no toss-ups. No toss-ups on this map.
Bill.
All right, here we go. Joe, you're first. Predictions. Here's your map.
I've got 303 electoral votes for Obama. They include swing states that I think he'll win are Colorado, Iowa, Ohio, Virginia, and New Hampshire. My theory of the race is that somebody is right about the turnout models, and if Obama's model is right, he's going to win a lot of these swing states, may even win Florida, if his model's right. If he's wrong, if the Romney model's correct, we're likely to see what Karl's map is going to show.
So, Karl, no toss-ups. What's your map look like?
First of all, I want to be on record. I object to the toss-ups because a bunch of these states are a toss-up. Nevada, I put it in the Democratic column. It's a toss-up.
All right.
And there it is. We should move it
but
out
these
of there.
were the rules.
Yeah,
these were the rules.
Exactly. But you made the rules, and
right.
you didn't deliver your own map.
No, that's
so
true.
we were the courageous guys who did. Yeah. I got 285 for Romney, 253 for Obama. I have Romney carrying all the McCain states, plus taking Indiana, Florida, North Carolina, Virginia, Ohio, New Hampshire, and Colorado. But look, I think Nevada and Wisconsin and potentially Pennsylvania are knife's edge states, particularly Nevada, up for grabs. I mean, Nevada will be decided by a couple, maybe 10,000 votes on either side of it.
Significantly, though, and I know we've got, so there are some true toss-ups that we could argue about, but really we agree on all, like 46 states, roughly. There are only 4 states on these maps that we disagree about. I think that's because, again, if you believe the turnout model that most of the polls are showing, then I think you're going to see Obama win by 300.
Yeah,
all right, so
5 states different.
5 states, yes.
Colorado, Iowa, Virginia, Ohio, and New Hampshire. Otherwise, we tend to agree when we're forced to.
Let's wrap up with this. We do this iPad app, and people submit their maps to compare to Joe's and Karl's. So we wanted to pick some that were closest. The closest, actually, to Karl was Mark Alcott, who had the exact same map. So as you put that one up, we're going to send Mark something. What are we sending him?
Well, I'm going to send him an autographed copy of my book.
Okay, Mark, there you go.
I'm going to send one to him, too.
Okay, good. And the closest to Joe's map is Alex Thompson.
Alex Thompson has a map that agrees with me on every state except for Colorado, which he would show Barack Obama winning 294, not the 303 that I've picked out. He has a point about Colorado. I think Karl.
Yeah, early vote. The Republicans lost the early vote 4 years ago. They're winning the early vote this time around. The state has also trended slightly to the right, and you know, it's been very close in the polls, and most of the time tied. And so I'm going to send him a copy of my book as well as
yeah, I'll be sending him a copy of my book. But again, I think it is between 294 and 303 on the Democratic side.
Okay, guys. As always, thank